The more that I can have more ads that are getting more people to take more valuable actions that I can track, the more that those ads are also leading to other impact beyond just the conversions that we're tracking. That's my firm belief.
And we are back, folks, for your favorite D2C podcast. And boy, do we got a screamer for you. The man with the plan, Barry Hott. How are you? How's the V-dub? How's the new baby? He didn't give me the hat. He didn't. He has a lot of drip. Didn't give me the drip. He's wearing some swag. But how are you doing, Barry?
I'm good. Car's good. Baby's good. Baby's great. Baby's at daycare.
Amazing.
Very exciting times for that baby.
Amazing. Your first baby, correct? First one?
Yeah, number one. Yeah.
Amazing.
Don't know
That's
if we'll
amazing.
do it ever again.
Yeah. And then not a baby, but look at that baby face. My partner in crime, Ashvin Walwani. Ash, how are you? How you doing? Always swagged out, looking good. That POD swag that Ron just dropped all the cookies. He let everybody know.
Yeah.
That thread was heat.
Yeah, that's it. The secret's out. We're always giving out our secrets. It's tough.
I know. You guys are so giving. It's so great. Oh, I'm going into God mode here. I gotta hit this gun. Go this way. Too bright over here. All right, folks. Well, we're actually going to get into a lot of stuff. Barry is one of the best acquisition marketers, retention marketers, just overall big brain guy, and I love him. He always has hot takes, but the data and logic to back them up. So let's just jump in. What are you seeing kind of working in the ecosystem? And then we can kind of just bash that off of kind of what Ash is seeing, and let's just start to jump into some combos. So Barry, what are you seeing people succeeding with right now? What should people be staying away with in terms of acquisition and specific paid?
Yeah, I've been meaning to tweet this, and I don't like giving away my secrets. I'm still getting used to Twitter and the idea of giving away what is working. I'm still really not accustomed to this. So I'm giving away a very simple, this is not revolutionary what I'm about to say, but it is a value bomb, and I'm going to drop, which is that images are working real good.
I've been saying
that. Yeah. I mean, I've been saying it too. Actually, I haven't been saying it, but I've been seeing it. I preach a lot about video, and I think video fundamentally is a future. And I often think that I'm seeing images working and scaling in a lot of places because those are brands that aren't getting video to scale as well. So, there's some chicken and there's some egg going on there. But I am having some success with some images. And I'm having fun producing it and coming up with image ideas and playing with that. So that's what I'm seeing right now. I'll start with that.
Let me jump in and then you can rattle off, Ash. Yeah. Two things. One, are you seeing that across the whole funnel? Or when I was running my agency, we saw images crush on retargeting more than videos.
Yeah, of course.
But so I didn't know if there was a certain stage of the funnel that's crushing at. And then do you also think it's because you can have a higher creative velocity with images just because they're inherently easier to iterate, make than videos? Even short videos are kind of a lift unless you have the Ash influencer setup where he has 1,000 people, billion people, and sending him creative throughout this whole thing. It can be challenging. Yeah, exactly. It can be challenging, right? To keep up that creative velocity to ensure that you have that throughput to scale. So those are my two questions, and I'll toss it over to Ash.
So much to address there. First and foremost, the whole image working and retargeting thing, I would probably, historically think about that being maybe related to just being cheaper inventory, that if you're retargeting and Facebook's trying to, I think you guys know me well enough, so I don't know if someone watching would know I'm kind of almost like a conspiracy theorist in terms of Facebook's trying to just get credit for the easiest conversions it can rather than driving actual incremental conversions. So I have typically thought that Facebook, when it can get a cheap click from someone that's already in funnel, is going to do so with the hopes of that it's just going to take credit for it. So that's why I would expect to see some retargeting image stuff historically have worked that way. But hard to say if that's true or not, and if that was true or still is. What I'm actually seeing right now, however, is images working well in prospecting and across several accounts that I have access to, and that I'm working on, which is interesting. And I think it might, I don't, it's not, they're not accounts that are also even like shitting out a billion images. They're not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we probably will start more because we're, what
Yeah.
we're seeing working compared to video and how scalable some of it can be. Um, Part of me thinks that it has a lot to do with the relaxation of the 20% text rule,
Mm-hmm.
from the past year.
Great point.
I
That's actually a really
think
good point.
I think that was something, if I had one small regret about the last year, it would be not immediately capitalizing on text in ads. Um, I remember, the reason why that 20% text rule was a thing was because it prevented advertisers from making text heavy ads, which were a bad experience for users on Instagram and Facebook, or early on, or even just Facebook early on. But I think what we've learned now is that it can be done in a spammy way, and it can be done in a positive, useful way where you can have 3 big words that takes up more than 20% of the screen and it not feel like shit. It can feel nice. It can feel helpful. It can, maybe it still is spammy. Maybe it still is very ad, focused and ad aware. There's still a lot to unpack there from a real like subconscious user psychology, or sorry, consumer psychology, whatever standpoint. But I think thinking about how Facebook originally like disallowed that and then started to just have it penalize your ads, and then now has moved away from that completely. It's really interesting to see that kind of self-regulation shift. And now I'm playing with that more, and it's allowing for really strong copywriting to prevail. That's what I think I'm seeing.
When that market cap shrinks, you want that money.
Maybe.
The other
I don't know
thing,
if it relates to that, but maybe.
I'm teasing. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, they're taking haircuts, less than most people, though. To be fair, but sorry, I keep cutting you off, Ash. I'll give it to you after this. But to your point, Barry, the 20% rule is such a really prescient point, because what I've seen, just anecdotally, is really impactful testimonial ads in images, where you can have these kind of longer testimonials. You have this nice lifestyle image or person that you can relate to, and then you kind of read their story, and it's almost like in a, not a meme format, but it's a really nice consumable, like where before you couldn't do that. And you have this gorgeous testimonial, and this is like this, 3 or 4 sentences of just awesomeness, but you'd have to put in the text or something like that. Nobody, like, to your point, copy is helpful, but I see ads in terms of a hierarchy where like creative's at the top, right? I do creative, headline, text. That's kind of like the hierarchy for me. And then CTA is obviously last. But anywho, just wanted to throw that in there. Ash, take us away.
Okay, so I got a lot here. All right,
let's go.
Because I think this entire year, from what I've been doing at Avi and what I've been kind of putting out on Twitter, is that we've been testing like 20 to 40 creatives a week, and purely based on the fact that they were static images. Right, it's a lot easier to pump out that much more creative than videos. Right, you got to get content creators, this and that, influencers. Like it's a labor of love, but we found that just getting 2 or 3 designers and just pumping out creatives was the easiest way to go. Okay. To your point on the text rule, as soon as that was lifted, in my head, immediately everybody post iOS update was saying your creative is going to do the targeting, right? And at the same time, this is when that text rule kind of like went away. And in my head, I was like, all right, how do I get my creative to do the targeting utilizing text on our graphics, right? So if you see any of our ads, look at our ad library, look at the stuff that I'm tweeting out. Literally, our main headline is on the creative. And I fully believe that is why we're able to target the right person to come to our website and purchase, right? So 2 things here is that, and Barry, you tell me what you're seeing, but basically, at least on our static images, our cost per click is typically a lot higher. Click-through rate is a lot lower, but our
Mm.
conversion rate is very, very high. Like I'm talking
Mhm.
7 to 10% conversion rate on our landers,
Mhm.
because I think because the creative is very targeted to the
Mhm.
specific problem that, like, for example, say goodbye to hair loss. You're talking to somebody who wants to address this problem, and you're getting that
Mhm.
right person to your page, and they're
Mhm.
converting, right?
Mhm.
So what we're seeing is higher conversion rate, higher cost per traffic, right? I'm looking anywhere from $3 to $5 cost per clicks, which is tougher to scale, right? It is very tough to scale this, which is why I think we've moved into this. Like, if our NCAC is like at X KPI, we're good to go. Getting like your cost per click to get lower on like on an image is very tough, because then you give up the conversion rate, right? So recently, what we decided to test was more videos. Okay, TikTok style videos, UGC style videos. We're testing everything, and we're putting it all into the same ad set: video, statics, everything. What I've noticed, and this is where Triple Whale has helped us significantly, is that the first click is going to start to come from the video, right? Because one, that has higher click through rates and lower CPCs. Okay, but lower conversion rates. Then what I end up seeing is that our static images will not get as much volume, but they'll get a lot of conversions because they're also last click. So because we're running this full funnel approach where everything's in one campaign, everything's
Mhm.
being driven by this like highly engaging video, which is your top of the funnel really within this campaign. And then people are converting on the static images, which is what you mentioned, is it does perform better on retargeting, right? So looking at like a first click basis, video is where it's driving the awareness. On the last click basis, our static images are performing really well right now. So that was kind of us shifting over the last couple of weeks because of the algorithm change, and they're pushing more videos, and we wanted to stay on top of that.
Mhm.
But I found that we've been able to scale a little bit more during a slower period of time for us, because we've added videos into the mix that may or may not be converting on the first touch, but they're basically setting it up for the static images to kind of convert later down the funnel within that same campaign. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, thoughts?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
What attribution? I hate to have to do this. I don't
yeah,
really want to spend this time talking about this
yeah,
this whole time, but we might.
yeah,
What
yeah.
attribution setting are you using? Or
1 day click.
settings? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
the G.
None of that
The
1 day
G.
view. None of that. None of
Oh,
that.
view throughs, chew throughs.
Good.
Yeah, none of that.
Okay. So
And not to cut you
good
off,
to
Bear,
know.
but let me pull some people along that aren't there. First click attribution is what Ash is talking about, and last click attribution. They're different attribution models, and then NCAC or NCPA is just your new customer CPA. So just to make sure that everybody that isn't hip to the game is following along the conversation. Mr. Hott, is it to you?
And then I'll add the 1 day click attribution setting as a setting in Facebook, which controls how Facebook delivers and also reports. So those are
Amazing.
separate, all
Amazing.
separate things, but they all can relate. So interesting hearing that you're doing the 1 day click. I, mostly do approve. Like I'm a big 1 day click guy.
Yeah.
There are some oddities I've seen in terms of, like, I'll be very honest. I don't think that I try to waste time breaking down the differences in CPCs, conversion rates, CTRs, whatever, between anything. I expect them to all be different. And
Right.
I'd like to talk about why.
Right.
And
And-
this is a tweet. This is a Twitter thread I have drafted that I've
No,
been
I know.
dying to launch, but it's like 50 tweets. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's appropriate for a Twitter thread.
I,
Sorry,
I
go ahead. What
do
were you
I
gonna
do
say?
want to just preface that before, because I know where you want to go with this, is that I fully do agree that
Yeah.
there isn't a correlation between CPC, CTR, and CPA.
Yeah.
Right. However, I do think the creatives that do have the better soft metrics are easier to
Mhm.
scale at higher budgets.
I
Because-
understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
So
Keep going.
one thing is that when we were scaling from 20 to 30K a day, right,
Mhm.
that large jump, we saw our average CPC increase up into like the average of 4s. Obviously, we're taking up more inventory from Facebook. We're obviously, our cost per traffic is going to increase, but our conversion rate doesn't increase at that same rate unless we're making
Yep.
changes, right? So then my CAC is going to increase on just a fully mathematical equation, right? So Yeah, I agree up until a certain point that there's going to be like the sweet spot within budget and like your, I guess, cost of traffic, but that video that's getting like $1 a click and maybe a lower conversion rate can
Mhm.
scale a little bit more aggressively. And that's just that's just how I've been seeing it recently because like we've cut back budgets during the summer, but in the last couple of weeks
Mhm.
we were able to scale a little bit just by throwing in some videos that were sending low cost traffic at a lower conversion rate, but then having the
Yeah.
statics pick up that retargeting as well. So yeah,
I appreciate all that, and I don't have anything wrong with that,
yeah,
right? Like I think what I'm trying to say is there's multiple, and this is the thing you'll own. Like this is my brain is just constantly going around in circles on stuff like this, and I love talking about this, but like there are just so many variables that we can't possibly see that are impacting this. So when I think about just simply ad A versus ad B, two unrelated ads, okay, they're not an iteration of each other. Even if they were similarly related, we could talk about that. But let's say they're two different ads. I don't care if they're images or videos. I don't care if they're the same or different. Okay. One of them is going to have a better CPC or better CTR than the other. One of them is going to be delivering more to younger users. One of them is going to be delivering more to older users. Maybe it'll be similar. Maybe it'll be more relevant to people to men. Maybe it'll be more relevant to women. Maybe it'll be more relevant to people in Washington or Miami or Detroit. All of those variables, and plus placement, Instagram stories, Instagram feeds,
For
reels,
sure.
Facebook, right column. All of these variables are more or less relevant to the ad. And then the user is going to react differently to them in those different placements. So I just have given up on trying to make sense of like, oh, if I get my CPCs up here, it'll do this. Because from what I've seen, both my doing this myself and also like analyzing other people's work, is so often it's like, yeah, they found a data correlation, but it is not at all the causation. That's why
Right.
so many people think that CPC relates to CPA directly, because if you set your systems up in a way that in a certain way, then it will. Like there's so many ways that those can correlate because of they kind of should, but that doesn't mean that they're caused by that. So I don't know if I've helped here or if I've made a good case about anything, because it's really just I'm just pointing out it's really fuzzier and blurrier, and
yeah,
I just care at the end of the day about getting the cost per conversion down
yeah.
for the
I agree.
most part. Like 90% of what I care about is that. And then
Yep.
the other 10% is me worrying a little bit, just a little bit, about if I focus too hard on conversions, am I actually limiting myself in terms of impressions or reach or clicks? Maybe
Right.
some of those other things, maybe I do want more traffic. Maybe I just want more people to just see the ads, even if they're not. There are other intrinsic brand value things. But for the most part, my firm belief, this is again that 90%, is that the more that I can have more ads that are getting more people to take more valuable actions that I can track, the more that those ads are also leading to other impact beyond just the conversions that we're tracking. That's my like firm belief. And that's why when I talk about like make ugly ads, right? Like, and people say like, oh, don't make ugly ads, it hurts your brand. I'm like, no, it doesn't, because I'm
Right.
getting more people to pay attention. I'm doing that better. And I'm getting more people that are interested in buying and taking action. Therefore, I'm having a much bigger overall impact with my ads than anything else. I'm definitely not saying make ugly ads that are actually garbage and people don't like or will piss people
Yeah.
off. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my whole spiel. Like
Yeah.
that was a big one. Sorry, I ate up a lot of time there.
No, I think it's great because like even to your point, the ugly ads, right? Let's say if I stray away from our brand, right? Our brand is bright
Mm-hmm.
colors, pink
Mm-hmm.
packaging, this and that. I've mentioned this before, like some of the ads where it's just blank background picture of the product and it crushes because it's like
Yeah.
one, your packaging pops, this and that, but like it's not your
Mhm.
standard like branded ads where like I'll have my co-founder Ankit, who's designed the entire branding, right? Which,
Mhm.
you know, biased as this is, it's like I think it's the most beautiful packaging in the world. But when he
Mhm.
designs an ad versus another designer, he's thinking fully on branded elements, everything that needs to be
Right.
perfect. But
Right.
I would say like 90% of the time, the other ads that aren't perfect perform the
Yeah.
best. And that's why he's like, I'm not doing ads anymore. So to your point, ugly ads
Yeah.
can convert very well.
And that's the fundamental of make ugly ads is like
Yeah.
not like don't make really ugly bad ads. It's like
Yeah.
make the less perfect version of the
Yeah.
ad you want to make. But that doesn't fit well on a hat.
I love that. I would push back a little bit here and say, well, first off, I totally agree with you guys. I think the biggest thing is one, to Barry's point, causation is way more important than correlation. But two, I think you always have to start with the goal in mind. And like, what's the goal? And so when people talk to me about CPMs, I'm like, what do you care if you're paying more to be in the room with all these rich people that are going to buy something versus you're going to be in this room with all these plebes that are just tire kickers and never going to buy anything? Like, what do you care? Like, are you trying, unless you're running, to your point, Barry, like just reach campaigns or really just trying to maximize the impressions that you're getting at a certain rate, like, unless you're
Yeah.
running those campaigns, then CPMs are pretty much irrelevant to you. Like, who
Mm-hmm.
cares? Like, all you want to do is like, if I told you I could get you lower CPMs, if told you I could get you lower cost per acquisition, what would you choose? Like, so I get really lost in the kind of CPM maxi debate. But
Mhm.
I will say that when I was running ads at my agency, it was always a question that I had for the brand owner where we would have brands that I think we've talked about this on past podcasts, but we would have ads that were crushing it. And they were seasonal, right? Like we had an ad that's like, get your gut ready for the holidays or whatever. And it had like a little pumpkin in it, like the pumpkin emoji, and it would just crush. And so I would go to the brand owner and be like, hey, like, it's not October anymore. Like, it's not November anymore. Do you want me to change this out? Or like, should I just keep letting it ride? Or like, and so I think the broader point that you're making is really prescient, but it also needs to be balanced. So like one of the biggest things that improved me as a marketer was I stopped worshiping the at the altar of aesthetic, where it's like just because something looks good and is incredible very rarely has any causation to its performance. Like it's very much so usually an ego thing. But at the same
Right.
time, you need to understand perception and understand where you're trying to position your brand. And so you need to understand that, like, possibly, like, for example, like Yves Saint Laurent or some sort of really fancy luxury brand will never run something that looks crappy, performance aside. It just won't, because there's this brand equity that is built into the perception of the brand. Whereas there can be, you disagree. I love this.
Mm,
Give me your disagreement.
This is a hard one. This is really, really difficult. Because like I agree with what you're saying, fundamentally agree with what you've just said. The problem is that you're still talking about ads on a social platform, and you're still talking about you have to make stuff to meet people where they are. This is not TV, this is not print, right? You can't, you have to make something that is relevant to the space, or more people will avoid it. Unless we're talking about kind of what Ash was saying earlier, is like if you're targeting with your creative. But I know, we all know rich people, okay? And rich people are just as dumb as the rest of us, okay? And they like looking at the same content that we do, right? Like just because they're rich doesn't mean that they don't look at memes and don't look at viral videos. So like aesthetically, you still need to be conscious of that. I mean, will they do that? Absolutely not, because they're pretentious and filled with ego. And as you just said, and I love, and I want it on a t-shirt, they do worship at the altar of aesthetic. I want stop worshiping at the altar of aesthetic tattooed on my body, or at least just on a t-shirt. Let's make that shirt. But that, I don't think those brands would ever admit to that. And some actually do. I think there are some of those like luxury brands that have figured out, are willing to play the game, and are willing to make TikTok shit that is wacky and weird and fits the audience, but it's still elevated in their way and still luxurious in their way. So it's a weird thing, but they can still make ugly ads.
I'll keep your 90-10 kind of going. I'll say you're 90% right, but I think the 10% is luxury vertical, where the luxury vertical is just super pretentious. Like I've seen luxury, I've seen Gucci, I've seen really crazy high-end brands run ads without CTAs.
Let me try something here. Okay. If you're selling private jet hours,
Yeah.
okay, is that a fair like super luxury, right?
I don't
Most
know,
people
not
can't-
really. It's a luxury commodity, but so it's a luxury commodity, not a luxury brand.
Pick one. Okay, pick one.
No, but you see what I'm saying, right? Like that's just
I do. It's fair
a
point.
high
It's fair point.
spending
It's fair point.
consumption versus like a
Yeah.
Gucci bag or Hermes Birkin bag or
Totally
something
fair. Okay, pick
fancy
one.
that's
Let's go with-
totally different.
Let's go Birkin.
So a
Let's
Birkin
go
bag, Birkin bag, yeah.
Birkin
So
bag.
for people that
Okay,
don't know,
same-
this is made
same
by
thing.
Hermes, super fancy bag. They start at like $10,000-$20,000, and it's basically just glorified purse. It's really nice.
Perfect.
Don't get me wrong, but they even have one with
Okay.
They did a collab with Birkenstocks that it's made of old Birkenstocks. But anyways, I digress.
Love it.
Birkin.
Okay, fine. This applies to any of it. This is my point. Is the difference I'm talking about is shooting this on an iPhone or shooting this on a Red camera. Do you need to shoot the ad or the content showing the bag wherever it is in whatever location it is? Does it need to be shot on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear and lighting and models? Maybe the models, the models we can come back to, or can it just be shot on an iPhone? And would that fundamentally be making an ugly ad? In my opinion, yes, or uglier version of the ad, and it's making the version that more people, luxury focused minded people as well, would be more likely to not skip if they saw on their feed. That's my hypothesis. I haven't proved it because I don't like working with the egos of people in luxury or high fashion or whatever. But that is what I've seen repeatedly win over time, is finding the more authentic way to shoot it or produce it or edit it that isn't fully polished, starting with a logo on the screen, perfect fade, edits. Like TikTok edits are harsh, man. Like they're not sweeping, beautiful things. They're zoomed in, So that's the kind of stuff that is subconscious, that people pay attention to subconsciously. So that's what I think about.
I think it's a super valid response, but this is why I love having conversations with you, because you made me solidify my argument finally coalesced, or not argument, but
Sure.
my thesis finally coalesced, was that luxury brands are inherently aspirational, and you don't aspire to be shooting a film with that's why luxury brands overspend. That's why you want to see this super polished thing. And so that's where my pushback comes in, where it's like, you can't, that's why. So let me make my thesis even stronger. That's why they hate counterfeits. It's not because it hurts the business. It's because if I'm paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, I want to be seen in a certain strata. Whereas if all these people are wearing all these fake Birkin bags that have no money, and again, I'm not like this big classist. I'm just trying to make the point of these people don't have the money to really actually afford this, and they're faking it. And now you're lumping me in with them. Like Louis Vuitton had a huge issue with that, right? Where their bags were just getting the print were just getting, and now you see everybody carrying, where it's like, you can't afford a $7,000 duffel. What are you doing over here? And then it starts to degrade again against that brand equity, and it stops becoming aspirational, which is luxury. And this is, I guess, the core of my argument. Luxury brands are not built on utility. They're built on perception. And perception is a function of status, and status is a function of exclusivity. And the more you get away from that, the more it hurts the brand.
Let me clarify. I agree with what you're saying. I'm saying that you have to do that, what you've just said, build that exclusivity, or that I forgot the word you just used, but it was spot on. Like, that is what you build in the frame, like in the shot. What's happening, what's being said, what's being shown. But I'm talking about how you show it. I'm talking about the difference between the shooting it on an iPhone and shooting it on a 200 millimeter 2.8. I don't know how familiar you are with
Sure.
camera lenses.
I am.
Like shooting
Yeah.
on a 2.8 lens, like
Yeah.
maybe that would, maybe I will go get my 200 millimeter and shoot something at 2.8 video. But like, I think most people won't subconsciously understand what they've just seen and slide into their feed. But what they will subconsciously be doing is realize this is not normal. And maybe it'll be for the better, but they'll know that it's more professional when you have that level of what, for the viewer, what I'm talking about is background blur and depth of field and focus.
Bokeh.
That's the kind of stuff, right? Bokeh. That's the kind of stuff that people subconsciously understand when th're scrolling through. Is something was shot authentically on a mobile phone or inauthentically on a professional camera, and even that bar alone is enough to lose people's attention. So I'm saying that is the point, is like, yeah, you absolutely need to still make it like special and spectacular and even more spectacular, but you have to find ways to make it also something that looks and feels for the platform, which is in a lot of ways the
That's fair.
most luxurious thing that you can do, is
That's fair.
actually understanding how to make stuff for the right platform.
I'll concede that. That's fair. Okay, enough luxury stuff. What do you guys?
That was
have
fun.
you guys ever?
That was really. That
fun.
was a great.
It was really
I
good.
That was
really
good.
enjoyed talking, and I'm not saying you're wrong. By the way, you like
That
I
was
very
good.
well
Yeah, you
could
make
be
great
wrong. I just want to
points.
make sure that's clear. Yeah, I
Yeah,
very well
no,
could be
same,
wrong.
same,
But
same.
I will say, anyone who does work in luxury who would, like, in the comments or somewhere say that I'm wrong, fundamentally that person does not understand what I'm talking about. So
yeah, no, I'm tracking.
in terms of, so yeah.
And to be fair, like aspirational luxury brands are kind of like a horrible bellwether for almost everybody. Like unless you're a luxury aspirational brand, because they just do everything that is like counterintuitive to acquisition. Because again, like the less people
so
that buy their
ego.
products, but because they can charge X amount of dollars. Like there's literally wait lists. Like for example, like Rolex, you can't buy a new Rolex. You have to actually be a previous owner. Ferraris are the same way. Like you actually can't buy the new Ferrari. You have to actually own a Ferrari for X amount of years to actually get the opportunity to buy a Ferrari. It's like, so it's just in a totally different economic realm. But speaking of different, have you guys ever messed around with traffic?
I wanted to say something.
Oh, you go for
I'm
it.
so sorry.
Get in it.
I'm sorry.
Get in it. No,
I was going to say something about the industry, which is that similar to what you just said about like you have to have a Rolex to get a Rolex. For you to like get a job in luxury, in high fashion, like especially in marketing, you have to have already been there. You have to have come from the lineage. Like they're not hiring me, and they wouldn't. And even if they did hire me, they wouldn't listen to me because they'd be like, no, buddy, this is not how
we got
this
brand
works.
guidelines,
Like,
Gary. We got brand guidelines, Barry. Come on.
yeah. Like they would make the point you were making, but they wouldn't consider listening to me like you would. So that's the problem. And I've seen it. And I've talked to these people. So they think I'm an absolute lunatic, just who knows nothing. Which is
to be fair,
really
you are
funny.
an absolute lunatic, but we still love you.
I'll take it.
Okay, so swinging from the super high end Birkin bag to the plebes, have you guys ever run traffic campaigns? Have you ever seen any success with those?
Ash, I'll let you go.
No, have not.
No, you haven't run them, or no, you haven't seen success.
No, I haven't seen results.
Yeah.
However, I have a point to this because I did want to bring this up because I think it ties into what we've been trying to do with like influencer marketing. I think a lot of people now are taking the approach of like, how do I feed my top of the funnel? Right. The consensus I feel right now is that when you're running TikTok, you're running Facebook, it's more like it's not truly top of the funnel. It's more so like, yeah, there's some new people kind of coming in there, but the majority of it right now, especially people running full funnels right now, it's just constantly just hitting this like wave of people, right? So if you go back and look at your ad account, your frequency is like 10, right? Even though you spent $10 million, right? So here's where I feel like the premise of like why Facebook is trying to get you to like run traffic campaigns, or they're trying to get, or like TikTok is trying to get you to run video view campaigns, is so that you are adding to the top of the funnel so that the rest of your account can start to kind of stabilize and convert more people, right? Now, I don't think that the traffic quality coming in from these campaigns is ideal. I would rather I would rather the traffic come from influencers where I'm paying X amount for just like say reach or awareness, say like TikTok views, um, or reach on Instagram. I'm not necessarily looking for a direct ROI. I would then see one, all right, am I getting like fine? Am I getting discount code sales from, their code and link and buy, whatever? Fine, that's one metric to see if they're working. But my overall approach after the fact of having like a team of influencers start talking about Avi is to see if the rest of my funnel is performing well. So I want to see Facebook get better. I want to see TikTok get better. I want to see our blended costs come down, even though I may not see a direct ROI from the influencers, right? So
Sorry, wait, Ash, what are you optimizing for the influencer stuff?
really, honestly, just reach, engagement, and then
Okay.
if there is some type of ROI on like code sales, right? So we give them a code and if there's sales over there.
The campaigns are optimized around reach and engagement, or they're conversion campaigns?
No, I'm talking like straight up influencers like posting on their accounts.
Oh, got
Oh,
it. Tracking.
Yeah,
I thought you were
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
paid media.
Not paid
Yeah,
spend.
yeah.
No paid.
No, not paid. I'm
Tracking.
just trying to
Why
get
not?
this awareness.
Wait, but why not? Yeah, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just talking about like organically posting, right? I want that organic
Mhm.
reach because
Mhm.
when I say like
Great.
that, people coming into like my like ecosystem will now my ads will start to perform better because like
Hell yeah.
there's just more people in there, right? And like more qualified traffic than me trying to get qualified traffic myself through traffic campaigns or
Mhm.
video view campaigns, right? Now to your guys' point, yes, I will whitelist these accounts and run
Mhm.
conversion campaigns and
Mhm.
obviously like try to get the hit their audience and pick up that low hanging fruit too. But truly top of the funnel is now where I'm going to put my eggs in the influencer basket and see if like the rest of the ecosystem starts to perform well. And we saw this last year when we were whitelisting when some pretty engaged influencers, and the minute
Mhm.
we stopped, everything kind of like leveled back up, right? So when you're driving that top of funnel
Interesting.
awareness, everything else
Mhm.
starts to do better, which is why like TikTok, when you're running TikTok ads, it's still discovery and you're still getting a ton of views. Whether or not somebody like clicks through and buys something, everything else
Mhm.
performs better. And that is truly what we've been seeing recently. Like
Mhm.
when I like the last week, I've like ran a ton of TikTok ads, especially we reached out to a ton of UGC creators on Twitter. When we started running these ads like this week, Facebook got better again, right? Because
Mhm.
now we're spending a little bit more on TikTok.
Could be coincidental, just saying, but okay.
Yeah, it could be. But now
Yeah.
there's a few points in time where running
Mhm.
this type of stuff has helped. So that's why I think just funneling all this like top of the funnel traffic through alternative channels like influencers, heck, even like billboards, TV ads, like what we'll get there at some point. But right now we're doing the influencer stuff, and like
Mhm.
that's where like I'm putting my focus is. Let me feed Facebook, let me feed TikTok, let me run my ads as is, right? But let
Mhm.
me just feed the ecosystem with more people, which is why I think, back to your point, why Facebook is trying to get people to run traffic ads, which is why TikTok is trying to get people to run video view ads, because they want people at the top of the funnel, but it's not the right quality traffic to feed your top of the funnel, in my opinion.
Well, I just want to say the strategy you just outlined is great. We've talked about this before. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of it. It's smart. But it's not like you're what you're doing is you're hearing the concept of like, all right, let's run link click campaigns. You're like, no, that's dumb. Let me take that premise and do that better. And that's beautiful, right? That's a great thing to do. But what Facebook is also doing by telling you to run the traffic campaigns is they're just trying to get your money, right? Like they're trying to do what you just said, kind of, but they're really just trying to get your money. And I want to shift from what you said to point out what I think is actually happening and a big part of why traffic campaigns perform so horribly.
Do I need my tinfoil hat, or
yes,
no?
put it
Okay,
on.
let
Put
me
it on. So
put it on.
I recently saw there were some people on Twitter that were talking about how they have success with it, especially when using existing post IDs. I tested that a little bit. I saw I kind of maybe some signs of life from that, but not really at scale. Maybe
What
I
were
was
you
not
looking
getting
at
enough
though
data. Convert cost per conversion
on
on
that
the actual
traffic
link click
campaign?
ads. Yeah. But
Okay.
the thing that you want to put your tinfoil hat on here for is that you have to look at your placement breakdowns. Anytime you make a change like that and how you're telling Facebook to optimize, right? It's not just changing who it delivers to, it's changing how it delivers and where. So if you were to run a video view campaign, it's going to fundamentally deliver a lot in either audience network or more so
Powerful
in
Audience Network.
the view oh my god, I'm blanking on the name of it, but the placement where it's unskippable ads.
Yep.
Right, they're the
In-stream.
watch either in stream. Thank you.
Yep.
My brain. So like that's not a good place if you're trying to get conversions. It's
Right.
not a good place for a lot of ad reasons. Same thing with link clicks. If you optimize to link clicks, you're going to probably see a ton more. You'll see
Right.
even more Facebook mobile feed, which I think, here's the tinfoil hat part, that there are bot farms or phone farms wherever that are that just click on ads. And I think that
If you get this podcast banned, Barry.
can I?
I'm teasing.
sued for that? I don't think it's liable.
You're spilling
Yeah, no, I
tea
don't think
here,
it-
and now
Yeah,
we can't
yeah.
even post it on YouTube now.
Yeah, if you no, there's nothing illegal about saying that. But like you can Google it. Not even like there are pictures and videos of people like wherever in factories where there's just thousands of phones all logged into Facebook, and if they're just clicking ads just to like click on everything like that, I find it hard to believe there's that many people on the platform that just click and don't do anything. They literally click. And you look in GA, you look in Triple L or wherever, and you see that there's basically zero time on site.
Yeah.
Like how are they not taking any actions? It makes no sense whatsoever. And it often is related directly to that placement. So you can do a traffic optimized campaign and just do Instagram feed. And you can control for that. And it's going to still show it to different users, but at least you're controlling for that variable, and it will perform worse than your conversion campaign, but it will perform more similarly rather than when you do the auto placement version of it. So that's just something I want to call out. Like, I don't know what people are doing with that traffic campaign to make it work and worthwhile. The only other thing I can think of that could be working is if you're not excluding your recent visitors, or if you're specifically targeting your recent visitors and you are using the bigger the attribution window that you use, the more likely those clicks will count to conversion. So if let's say I'm targeting, right? Like you have two choices here. You can target, you can optimize for link clicks, targeting people that have been to your site in the last 7 days, or you can optimize to purchases, targeting people that have been to your site in the last 7 days. Same audience, okay? Most websites that you run this for, especially the bigger the site is, the more, if you run for traffic to that audience, you'll track more conversions, especially if you're using 7-day click, 1-day view, or if you're using 7-day click, because you're just like seeding clicks to just hope that they get attributed with conversions. Like it's
that
you know what I'm saying? Like
Powerful
that's what
Pinterest
Facebook is
attribution
doing.
windows.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like 180 days, and like it's nonsense. Like, if you've ever thought of Pinterest ever, we're going to claim this attribution. It's pretty egregious.
Do you have a lot of clients that use Pinterest, like a lot of Triple Whale?
Oh, you want some spill tea? This is crazy. So actually, here, fill some time for me. Let me pull some data up because it's actually pretty impressive.
So back to your point, right, on the traffic campaigns, I think to your point, right, the quality of the traffic when you look at GA, right, is almost non-existent. Like bounce rate is like 90%. There's like an average duration of 0.5 seconds, right? It's actually not worth it. However, I think the premise of doing it, if it worked right, was to fill up a top of the funnel approach, which should in theory, right, convert in the conversion campaign. That is the theory. That is what they say. Consider, like, they want
Correct.
awareness, traffic campaign,
Yes.
consideration, conversion, whatever. Doesn't work, right? However, I have seen and looked at data and seen people running video views where it's a little bit more engaged than just traffic, where people are
Mhm.
watching the videos, they ended up getting, you know, decent cost per view. And those are the people who are slightly more engaged, which is why I think TikTok is saying, like, hey, um, run video views, because that actually does generate a little bit better of a quality audience that's kind of just hovering around your top of the funnel. And, talking to some other brands that are doing well on TikTok organic, right? Just generating views from there and getting like more people into that audience, their ads seem to be doing a lot better too, right? So when you fix that organic piece of it, which is, in my opinion, I think has a lot to do with video views right now, especially since everything on Facebook and Instagram is changing to video. TikTok is all
Mhm.
video. When you're getting that organic presence, everything else starts to seem to do better, which is why I think like Facebook is trying to get you to do that artificially, but it
Mhm.
doesn't work, which is why you have to do it organically through views or even influencers.
Or another
But
platform, which
or another platform.
I
Yeah.
love what you're talking about there, right? Like
Yeah.
fundamentally bring more people into the funnel somehow.
Yeah.
But I think traffic campaign is not the right
It's not
route
it.
for
Yeah.
that.
No.
But do that, yeah. Bring people in.
Yeah. No, it's
Did we
not
stall? Did we stall enough for you, Rob?
it.
Yeah, I think you guys did. I just need to click one more thing here. So we have some really amazing data we're going to start to publish, and we have some Q1 to Q2 data that is pretty incredible. So we track about 1.2 billion in spend from Q1 to Q2 versus Q3 to Q4 of last year, and so Facebook was actually down in spend 24%, but still massive, 854 million plus. Google was up 21%. And so you guys got to remember, this is pretty incredible because this is Q1, Q2 versus Q3, Q4 of last year. And Q3, Q4 is one, the biggest spending quarters, and two, the most expensive times to buy ads. So to be able to comp against that and still grow is pretty impressive. I think that's probably off the back of Google or Performance Max. But we can actually debate about that. TikTok spend absolutely exploded, 243% growth quarter Q1, Q2 of 2022 versus last year's Q3 to Q4, which is incredible. But pins actually surpassed Snap. So Snap just fell off a cliff. Pins was actually up 10%. I mean, it's a nothing burger. It's 7.6 million. Again, this is across 5,000 merchants plus 50 plus countries, but pretty impressive that they grew 10%. And then Snap fell off almost 24% negative quarter Q1, Q2 versus Q3, Q4 last. So yeah, Pins is coming back. I don't know. I've never seen it really work well. I've seen it as a tertiary channel, kind of to your point, Ash, of trying to drive like quality traffic with, economics where it's not traffic campaigns per se, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
But it's just obviously not as efficacious as TikTok. So yeah, I don't know. Pins, it's also making a little run back in the markets as well. But yeah, that was it.
I'm not
Um,
anti Pinterest, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
want
they're
like my Pinterest friends. I don't know if I have any Pinterest friends, but like Pinterest is great for visual products. Anything that luxury, fashion, anything,
also aspirational.
go
Yeah.
for it. Super. Like there's tons to do on there. And I've often and always and will now say that there's more value, I think, to what you get put into Pinterest than what you can track getting out of it. I think
Yes,
there's a
that's
lot
so well
more
put.
that you wind up getting from it at scale over time in particular. Sorry, Ash, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, to your point, right? I guess my question to that is like, how are you seeing that value kind of come in, even if it's not immediate direct conversions, right? Even if, because we were running Pinterest ads like last year,
You
spent
should.
around, yeah, I think it's more of the organic play than anything. But we spent like 50K on it. The attribution window said that we made 200,000 on it. but it was not a single person in a post-purchase survey said that they came from Pinterest or
Right.
started on Pinterest. So
Yeah.
I don't know where this attribution window comes from or how.
Let me just be clear.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. If I'm you selling what you sell, I would not be on Pinterest. Not maybe the new whole thing that people are saying, like that put your TikToks on Pinterest, maybe, whatever. But would I spend a cent on it? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to sell like your hoodie, or your sweatshirt, like
we went the recipe approach, right? Because a lot of people go to
that's actually pretty good.
for Pinterest for recipes and stuff, which is where the majority of like, I don't know what you call it, but they pinned it to their board and this and that. I still don't understand how the platform works. But again, I don't know where the attribution comes from. Again, to post-purchase survey is such a great way to validate where you're actually seeing, top of the funnel or whatever it is. Not a single person said it. And even if they did, it still doesn't make enough to be like, all right, let me put double the budget in there too.
Well, let me ask a question. Who is using Pinterest that isn't using Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat or
I don't think
YouTube?
Yeah.
And so I think it matters to. Oh, go ahead, Barry.
No, is it?
Yeah. Well, I think it matters too. This is why I think YouTube ads can be hit or miss, where it matters. Like usually if you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like you're usually filling time. Like you don't have an objective. Like you're just, these are gap fillers. Whereas like a lot of times if you're on YouTube, you're like wanting to consume a thing. Like, you know what I mean? And so like trying to sell somebody when they're trying to do a thing isn't great versus like trying to sell somebody when they're just meandering around metaphorically on the interwebs is actually a great time to pitch them a product where it's like, oh, that's really interesting. So I think for Pinterest, for me anyways, the way I used to use it was you're so objective driven where it's like you're pinning things, you're doing these things like that. And so maybe to your point, Ash, you can retarget them. And to your point, Barry, on a platform when they're in more of a hyper-vigilant state to buy. But a lot of people, I'm going to be putting my house together. So like, oh, that's a cool couch. This is a cool couch. This is a cool couch. But I'm not making the decision right then. And so I find it to be hard to close on Pinterest, possibly to your point, Ash, again, like it might be some decent top of the funnel stuff that you can start to drip on them. But then again, you start to get into some economic constraints of like, okay, it cost me X amount to get somebody in the funnel through Pinterest. And now it costs me YZ to actually close them when I could have just shown them a TikTok, sent them an email, and then hit them with the Facebook ad and bish, bash, bosh. My AOV is fine. And I'm on my way to the next purchase.
Yeah. Well, the way that I was sold on it is that Pinterest would have been another discovery platform, like a search platform. It was a Google, right? People are searching for weight loss tips, weight loss smoothies, whatever it is, right? That's fair. Then we would come up for it.
That's a fair point. Yep.
I just don't think it was enough. Like you said, it's just not enough where I think, exactly.
It's too small of a platform.
Premise is there, but
you need a Google, an Amazon, a YouTube to actually have proper volume to capture that, especially at your scale, right? Like maybe if you're just starting out, you can get stuff, but like you're trying to figure out how you can move proper money, not where you can spend your next $100, $200.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Barry, any parting thoughts before we get into the creepy question?
Oh gosh, I haven't prepared. No, I've been enjoying this. I wish I could be doing this all the time.
This is a really fun one.
This is a lot of fun.
This was a good one.
I love pardon the.
They're all pretty good.
Term, but
I've watched a lot of them.
Oh yeah. Oh, that hits me deep in the feels. Okay, so here's the creepy question: What would the title of your autobiography be? Who wants to start? Oh, Ash, it feels like you're onto something.
No,
so for context, Barry, we do just a weird off the wall question, kind of a little bit of a brain teaser. We've had what would you do with an elephant? And that was Gina. Gina would become a YouTube influencer. We did more wheels or doors. Which one was that? Are you an inside the shower dry off person or outside the shower dry off person? I mean, we're talking about high level cognitive stuff here, Barry.
Yeah. Well, there's those are A or B questions. Those aren't as fun. You want the big. This is a full free form thought question. So
to be fair, the elephant one wasn't. The elephant one was not binary. But
Yeah.
I take your point.
Well, you in our email earlier today, you said hot and bothered, which
That's not
I
bad.
love.
I like
It's
that.
not
I
bad.
also own hotandbothered.com.
Do you really?
And,
That's awesome.
yes, I
Oh
I
my
bought
gosh,
it
it's
today.
amazing. Did you really? Oh my
I bought it. Yeah.
For people that
With
are
two
just
T's.
listening. Yeah, exactly. For people that are just listening, Barry Hott, his last name is spelled Hott. So that's the punny. That's actually not bad.
Yeah.
I'd buy it. Hot and bothered. Amazing. What about you, Ash?
You ready?
Yes.
Ash
You look
me
confident.
anything.
Hey,
That's not horrible. Oh my gosh, that is not horrible. Those are both heat. Those are both heat. I got to tell you, if there's any publishers out there, you need to option this ASAP. Ash me anything. That's pretty good. We need to have that as some triple whale segment or something. That's
AMA,
hilarious.
that's your YouTube.
That's actually
that's your
hilarious,
like
Ash.
YouTube or like
Yeah.
Twitter
like it.
Space
Oh my
or something like
gosh.
that.
Oh, we should.
That
do
is
that.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I have nothing now.
Yeah.
You guys wrecked me. I
Ash
shouldn't.
me.
I should have went
That's
first.
your office hours. That's your Ash.
I
That's
know.
your office hours. It's just like
That's
Ash me.
amazing.
Yeah.
We were going
Love
to do
it.
ocean hours, but Ash me anything is even better. That's
Ocean
incredible.
hours.
That's
Gotta tell
incredible.
Kevin.
What do I got? I know, right? We got to green light this. We need a new Slack channel ASAP.
Yeah.
What would I do? Hot and bothered. Ash me anything. Those are really good. I don't know if I can come back from these. What would I do? Man, I got nothing. What's a good? I don't know. I have to punt. What would I be? Autobiography. Hot and bothered. Ash me anything. Well, sign off first, Barry, and I'll think of something. Tell the people how they can follow you, how they can get more involved with Barry Hott, how they can get hot and bothered. You're doing some cool stuff with Jess at Higher Fire Team too. I really enjoy those. It's pretty funny.
Thanks, man.
I really like
Yeah,
those.
thanks, man. We're doing some more stuff. I'm hoping to be doing more stuff like that on my own YouTube. Maybe I'll do an interview show called Hot and Bothered where I just bother people
really
for an
good.
hour.
It's really good.
It's a great idea. But yeah, barryhott.com. That's 2 T's. And find me on Twitter at binghot. And hopefully more fun stuff for me in the coming months, but nothing too crazy right now. That's just doing fun stuff like this.
Amazing. Hanging out in Brooklyn, living the life.
Yeah.
Ash, do the spiel. Let the people know if they're by a vitamin shop. What do they need to do?
If you need some collagen in your life, you need to reverse the signs of aging, and you got a vitamin shop near you, go check it out. You'll find us on the shelves. Tell them that your favorite collagen is Avi. Take a picture of it. Send it to me on Twitter or retweet, fave, everything. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Ashwin Mawani. Also on Mentor Pass. Check me out there if you need any advice on paid media. Also looking for more. Yeah, and Barry too.
Oh, you're on Mentor Pass. Why didn't you say that? We love Kenny here.
Oh,
amazing.
I should have said
Plug
that.
Plug that, baby. Plug it.
It's like on my
sign up for some time with Barry. Get some hot takes in there.
Let's go. That's actually not a bad one either.
Yeah. And then last thing, if you are a UGC creator, hit me in my DMs. Looking for a ton of creators. So far, I've had over 150 people send us some content, and we're trying to create a massive roster, paid obviously, but in my DMs. So yeah,
amazing. And if you are looking to step up your influencer game, we just did a great pod with Josh about influencer. I think was it last week, wasn't it, or 2 weeks ago? Something like that. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he crushed it. It was a really, really good one. If you want to get more involved with Triple Whale, we are Try Triple Whale. No more Try, actually. We're triplewhale.com. You see, I'm flustered by the title of the autobiography. Triplewhale.com. We're on the whale or bird app at Triple Whale. And then if you want to subscribe to our amazing newsletter, it is every Tuesday and Thursday goes out, called Whale Mail. You can do that right on the Twitter app. Man, I can't believe I asked a question. I didn't have the answer.
That's what I was shocked by. I can't believe I had an answer.
I know your guys' answers were too good and they rattled me.
And you stalled long enough for me to try
to fill this up.
I'm thinking for you. I can't think of anything.
I had nothing, right?
How did I get here? About shiny shoes, or like the shiniest shoes on the block or something.
I was thinking sneaker puns. Yeah, bare feet. Maybe I can call it bare feet. A little sneaker pun, huh? No, nothing. Ash isn't into it. You got nothing.
3
big brains, and I can't get self-titled. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Is that someone whose autobiography is called Unbelievable?
I feel like
Wait,
you're
Robert,
right.
can we do a contest? Like
Amazing.
Best one in the comments gets a little some.
Yeah, I'll send you some Triple Whale swag. Whoever wants it, you can pick out some t-shirt and socks and give me the title of my autobiography. Put it in the comments section, either on the YouTube video or on the Twitter that we put out. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. People helping people. It's powerful stuff. I love it.
Love it.
Amazing. Barry, this is incredible. We have to have you back on. Make you regular or something. This is really interesting, man. I love the way you approach acquisition, the way you think of marketing, the way you just you're so even keeled, but at the same time have very, like, the way I would describe you is strong opinions weakly held. And I think that's a really good way to live life, where you believe in what you believe in, but if you encounter different data or something like that, you will absolutely change your mind and reverse course. And I think that's a really, really productive way to live, not only in terms of marketing, but in terms of going through your life. Congrats again.
I'm literally going to cry. That was very nice.
That was beautiful. That was very beautiful.
I had to make up for my.
He doesn't talk to me like that.
No title.
I really work hard to do that. To like what you just. I need to like write that down. What you just said.
Oh no, I'm in trouble with the podcast bestie. I'm sorry, Ash. You know I love you. The pod partner. That's actually nice alliteration.
All love. All love.
Amazing, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. If you do enjoy the podcast, be sure to share it. Tell your friends to subscribe. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go follow Ash. Go follow Barry. Go follow Triple. I'm also on Mentor Pass if you want to go give me some money for sneakers. And then I think that's it, guys. Another one in the books. I really appreciate the time. And we'll see everybody next time. Thanks so much.
Peace out.